Verse 14, and here's a good example of it. My heart is like wax. It melts under the slightest heat. It's unstable fluid. That's verse 14. I am poured out like water and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within me. So I wrote, my heart is like wax. It melts under the slightest heat. It's unstable fluid. And here is why. Jesus could have called 10,000 angels at any moment. He could have wiped them all out. But folks, he not only gave up the ability to call angels, he became a man and stayed as a man instead of using his God stuff. And when he did, he was like a man in that it's like wax. And I'm just telling you, I'm telling you this based on an experience that I've had when I was going through some stuff. It's like, my God, I have no strength at all. My heart is just melting under the heat of this. I am nothing. I am faded away. I am a worm. You're just going, I am so ashamed. And yet, that's actually part of the process. But we think, because I'm brought to such weakness, folks, the weakness of God was the greatest strength that ever was manifest. It says that in Corinthians. That God at his weakest point was stronger than men. But let me tell you, that weakest point is not fun, and I don't think we usually get it, because that weakest point is not really and truly shame. It is really and truly you have to be brought to absolute nothing. Weakness, inability to save yourself. When you try to stand up for God, it's just like you hear something or see something or something happens and you just melt back down and we go, oh my God, I'm such a shame to the cross. I'm such a shame to the Lord. And yet that must take place. You have to be brought, you have to be a devastated land. And doesn't it say that God will make the desert bloom? Amen. Anybody ever heard that before? Did you ever hear it in a song or a sermon? And you'd go, whoa, you'll make the desert bloom. Well, it's sure, the blooming part will get you excited, but you're not a desert yet. Wait till you become that. Amen. Wait till you've gone to the depths and your heart is like wax and you're so ashamed of yourself you don't know what to do and you have no ability to stand, and the only thing that holds you is the grace of God. Well, I thought that's what we all depended on. Right? Don't we all? I totally on the grace of God. Yeah. Well, we'll see once we put you through the ringer a few times, When you got nothing, you're dependent totally on the grace of God. All right, and verse 15, my strength is dried up like a potsherd, my tongue cleaveth to my jaw. Now, one thing, if you'll notice when you go through these scriptures, an incredible thing happens. You start actually noticing the effects of literal physical crucifixion. If you know anything about literal physical crucifixion and what it does, it cuts off your air supply, it cuts off your ability to make moisture and stuff. It just is an excruciating death before death. And this whole chapter is describing the physical effects of crucifixion on a person. Like, 4,000 years before it was invented. And not only that, the Jews didn't invent crucifixion, the Romans did. And they weren't even they probably weren't even hardly a people yet. And yet, David's going through it with Jesus. He's going through it. And that's the key, isn't it? If we're going to go through it, let's go through it with Jesus. Let's not, it's futile otherwise. And I say let's stand our ground about it. All you got left is just to hang on and hold on. But the resurrection is glorious. Yes, the desert does bloom. Verse 16 says, for dogs have compassed me, the assembly of the wicked have enclosed me, they pierced my hands and feet. Now, it's interesting, that part that says they pierced my hands and feet, the Hebrew Bible translates that different. The Hebrew Bible translates that like a lion. Doesn't the Bible say the devil goeth about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour? He pierced my hands and feet. Let me tell you, the enemy nailed Jesus to that cross also. Like a lion. All right. Verse 20. Let's skip on down to there. Deliver my soul from the sword, my only one from the power of the dog. Now, I want you to notice that, let me read the first three words of 20. Deliver my soul. Okay, now, look at verse 21. Save me. Okay, notice it's from what? The lion's mouth, yeah. Okay, but I want you to notice two factors here. One is deliver my soul. The second one is save me. That's the proper order. That's the proper order. One of the things, Lord willing, if we get enough time, I want to go over some major points that the Psalms bring out as a general rule across the board. And one of those is going to be this fact that the psalmist and many of the other people who wrote Psalms regularly refer to this little phrase, deliver my soul or save my soul or whatever, which is not, get rid of my circumstances. It is, my soul is reacting over this. It is like a wild, uncontrolled child. It is wanting this gone. It is wanting relief. Can anybody identify with it? The soul is saying, God, get this off of me. Get what off of me? Because it says, for this light affliction worketh for us a far more eternal weight of glory, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. Our workers are being prayed away. This affliction works for us. Our workers are being prayed away by us. Well, what's our definition of victory? The cross didn't look like victory. Daniel in the lion's den didn't look like victory. Joseph being beaten up and thrown in a ditch by his brothers didn't look like victory. What is victory? One point of victory is when your soul doesn't win. When the one's going, Lord, you need to give me victory. And then you finally go, you know what, I'm with you. If that's your will for me right now, then I give thanks for it. And I trust you for this. Now there's a higher thing than that. There is a higher thing than that. It's higher than just saying, I trust you in all circumstances. It's being with him in the death so that it brings forth life. Because just trusting him in the circumstances does not automatically bring forth life in others. Life comes out of death. Not trusting God in bad circumstances. Okay? All right, so the first cry has to be, not Lord fix everyone else, but Lord fix me. That's got to be the first cry. And it's got to be the heart. It's got, this isn't just a Bible teaching here. My God, this has to become the heart that's formed in every Christian, where we say, look, I was thinking about it, I think this morning, that when it's said and done, for example, with Paul, when he got the end of his ministry, you can read that in 2 Timothy. This is one of his last letters. And what does he say? All have forsaken me. The people of Macedonia, wherever, they've turned against me. Asia Minor, they've turned against me. Nobody showed up at my sentencing except for, Luke. I can't remember. Alexander the coppersmith did me much harm. He just goes on and on and on. And this is, he's going to die soon, and it's like, this really didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. However, I think it did work out the way he thought. But that's what we do. When we get down to the end of our life, You start measuring things differently. And you come to a realization, get ready, you come to a realization that the only thing that you truly have power over to change in this world is yourself. You can try it with your kids. You can try it. You can try it with your kids. But I mean, and you can try it with others and whatever. But what's funny is we think we're the saviors of the world instead of the material that's being worked on. We think it's all about them. And God's going, you get to the end of your life and He goes, you could have been more conformed to my image than what you are, but you're too busy working on everybody else. That's shocking, But if you just realize because I have the wheel of this car, I have the will of this being, I have the heart that can say, Lord, I'm going to quit worrying about everybody else. My God, I need you. My Lord, I desperately need you. Look at me. I'm probably freaking out more than they are. So He says, deliver my soul, not just my circumstances. But then in the next verse, He does say, save me. Verse 21, save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the wild oxen. All right, so there is this place for God to move in your circumstances, but listen very carefully. Do not confuse your circumstances with the cross. If it is the time of the cross, He's not going to deliver you, and you don't need to be asking for it. You need to stay down in death so that life can come to others. Now, if it's not the cross, if it doesn't have anything to do with the life of Christ, if the enemy, your enemies have done something to you, then trust God and your faith will deliver you, just like He said. Our fathers trusted you and you delivered them. Well, just go there. Just go. But if it's not the case, go with the Lord.